Welcome back. You're watching The Money Show on ET Now, or should I say The Wedding Edit. Yes, on today's episode of The Money Show in our Spend with TMS segment, we decided to take on board the one key component of spending, and that is weddings. However, of course, this component has not been used so much, especially in the last 1 odd year, thanks to the coronavirus and the lockdown that has come about, because of which the size of our weddings have reduced tremendously. So for some time, of course, people simply refrained from conducting weddings. However, it looks like that's back in action as we are seeing couples getting married, pardon me, and conducting weddings as well to celebrate the occasion. So if you as well are a couple with impending nuptials, you don't really need to be cooped up in a bedroom and get it signed with the registrar being called home or you going over to the BMC's office. Yes, you as well can conduct a wedding. Here's all that you need to know in conducting a wedding amid the pandemic. All the do's and don'ts, what the government allows, what the government does not allow. So who better than a famous wedding planner to discuss all of this? Joining me on the show now is Vikram Mehta of Mpire Weddings. Vikram, thank you so much for taking our time from your busy schedule and joining us today on the show. And I know you've had a busy schedule because with the wedding season being back in action and how, you've got your calendar full with a lot of weddings. So tell me, Vikram, with this pandemic going on, what sort of weddings have you been conducting? Give us some flavor into that.
I think in general, the major transition has been that international weddings have gone more domestic. It's everything within India, obviously, with the connectivity situation right now in the world. More than that, I think the numbers are down. Of course, everyone's trying to follow the COVID rules. So the norms that are set up by each state government. So you might have weddings which are limited to, like, say, 200 people or 150 people. So those are the two major shifts, the numbers and the location. That's two major shifts that we've experienced.
So Vikram, at this point of time, what's the most in-demand service request from your clients? What's the most popular theme, or the way the wedding is conducted?
I think there's been an issue in terms of budget purely because I think in the numbers being down, as a company, we did a lot of weddings which were 200 rooms, 400 people or stuff on those lines. And I think primarily now, because of the numbers being down, people don't want to spend the same amount. Having said that, I would like to tell you that it's well and truly back. The industry is well and truly back. We have weddings literally every month now till December. So people are getting back and kind of making up for the lost time that we had. I think that's something we're seeing right now. But in terms of demands, I would say that probably they want to constrain their budgets a little more. And of course, there's a lot of concentration on stuff like getting tests done for the clients and the guests that are coming and trying to get Metropolis or some agency to do one single test for every guest who's coming. So everyone has their results in place, the COVID results in order. So stuff like that. Those are a lot of more minor details that we've started looking into.
Excuse me. Okay. So Vikram, it said that, the worst is maybe behind us, though of course, having said that, we have seen quite a spike sharp in cases. I want to just give that disclaimer to all our viewers. But yeah, largely things seem to have opened up in the country. So what's the wedding protocol like right now in different cities, in different states across the country?
I think we go by the SOP of each. Like I said, it depends from state to state, but in general, I think Goa and Rajasthan are the two places that are opened up the most, followed by Dehradun. I think there are some places which are still a little apprehensive about how things are done, which includes Mumbai, actually. Even in Mumbai right now, people are kind of stressed about what the BMC is allowing and not allowing. So it's kind of complicated because a lot of it is based on square feet of how many people are allowed in a certain square feet. And of course, the total number maximum allowed by the government. So there are different kinds of disclaimers that we follow based on which we land up booking a contract with a hotel or booking a client or a property. In general, I would say that cities like Goa or like states like Rajasthan have opened up the most. It's Mumbai, Rajasthan, Delhi, Goa. These are the four places which have opened up the most. I am not quite certain about South as such, how it's been happening in South, but in general, the demand is low for weddings in South right now.
All right. So how are your clients working their way around all of these protocols then, Vikram?
I would like to say that we have an Indian mentality when it comes to even combating a virus. And I think it's been a little lackluster. I mean, people are not really circumspect or apprehensive as such. Once they're at the wedding, it's more like they have a free pass to just being how they want to be. So I think as a company, as a wedding company, what we do is we try to be stringent, or we try to follow the norms in terms of what results are being followed. Are we getting the test results of people and all of that? Because once people are at the wedding, there seems to be little care or fear. I think in general, that's been the overall vibe that I've got. And I think the numbers in India had never fled up as we all thought it would vis-a-vis the rest of the world. Although people thought because of the population we will, but it didn't really hit us as bad as we thought it would. And that's probably to do with our immunity, or also just an overall approach where we are not paying much attention or living in fear right now. So there's a good and bad in it. Of course, there are pros and cons in it. But in an overall sense, I think we could be a little more responsible in general at weddings. We try to be from our end in terms of what my team or all the vendors and partners do. But in terms of guests, there isn't much responsibility being taken up. And it's not something which is in control of any of us. Because if there are 200 guests, you could probably make sure the immediate families following everything, sanitizing, wearing your mask while talking, probably just for the sake of the couple who's going on a honeymoon. But for the rest of the people, you can't do much about it.
All right. So Vikram, if you had to leave our viewers with some recommendations, tips, especially those, of course, with impending nuptials, on how to plan a wedding amidst COVID times, what would you recommend?
So I actually planned the last wedding before the lockdown. Like Mr. Modi announced a lockdown, I think on 20th or 21st of March, and we had a wedding from 16th to 19th of March in Jaipur. So I think back then it was more scary. We were really apprehensive and we were worried about how to do this, because COVID was still a very new thing. Now it's like a new normal, but back then it was completely new. So I can see the transition, because we've done, I think, about 5-6 weddings now. I'm at a wedding right now as we speak. And I can tell you that there's a major transition in how we handle things also. I think one is, of course, your hygiene. And when I say hygiene, it also involves small things as how the rooms are being cleaned by the housekeeping, or how the cutlery is, what is sanitized, what is not sanitized, how many people are going through tests, are we fumigating the locations? And those are the kind of things that I can try to concentrate on, because if you can't get involved with every individual at least the surface levels that we have across the properties, we try to make that comes into the hotel, all of that. If we have stalls, say we have a gola or chart counter, then we make sure that person has gone through a proper COVID test and the results are out. So we try to concentrate on those kind of things, and that's a massive change from pre-COVID world, Also, sanitizer in every room, sanitizer in the car, and drivers wearing the mask, or stuff like that. So it's minor details, but it's a whole new department. Like, I mean, you can just clearly add this as a new department into every wedding, and that's here to stay. I don't see this changing now, even if the COVID fear or pandemic, the hype around it slows down. I don't see this part of us going anytime soon.
Well, Vikram, thank you so much for joining us with a primer of sorts on conducting and managing weddings during COVID-19. And I'm sure this has been very helpful for all the couples who are, of course, planning to get married, in the months to come.